Always surprises me when that just abruptly finishes. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Going Live with the Global Science Show. My name is Sam, and I'm the coordinator and founder of the Global Science Show, the monthly virtual science festival that lets you share a little slice of science with whoever you want, a global audience all around the world. We're back again. It's another week. It's week 3. And this is episode 5 of Going Live with the Global Science Show. I look back at the first episode and I was just using my laptop camera then. I've switched now. I'm using a virtual camera now. I've got coloured lights. I've got fairy lights. I've got Yoda in the corner as well. I'm just trying to look fancy. And I'm really loving it. Like, it just looks so much better, except for the glare on my glasses. They're going to go. Thank you for joining us. There's a couple of people watching already. Today, we're going to meet another science communicator just to learn about who they are, what they do, and why they're really cool. We'll be here for about half an hour until about 4:30. If you're not watching live and you're watching back, hi, why weren't you here? I've just got water today as well. As you can maybe tell, I've had too many coffees today. I asked Twitter earlier on, like, how many coffees is too many? And I couldn't get an answer. Someone had 17 in one day, and that's awful. I've had 4, and that's too many already. I'm going to stop rambling now. I'm going to bring on today's guest. Today's guest is Elora McFall, who's currently in rural Ireland, and mentioned Wi-Fi might not be the greatest. My Wi-Fi has been terrible, so I think actually I'm more of a risk than Elora is. But I'm going to get her on just now, so say hello to Elora.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Not too bad. As I've already mentioned, just had too much coffee already.
I've got water and tea here, but I've drank half of both already while I was waiting, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, it'll keep you going for the next half an hour. So I'm going to just ask a couple of questions today, get to know who you are, what you do. It'll be really informal. If people are watching, they can ask a question as well. Or they can ask a question later. We'll see. We don't know. It depends who's watching. My first question that I always ask is, who are you and what do you do?
So my name's Elora, and I'm a recent physics graduate from Ireland. I went to the University of Limerick, and I guess while I was studying there, I got really into science communication. So finishing a degree in lockdown has been quite a lot, so I decided to take a year off at the moment. So I've been doing loads of different pieces of like science communication and trying out new things, I guess, at the moment. So bit of a physicist, bit of a science communicator, and I'm also the advocacy and outreach manager for the International Association of Physics Students.
Which is not a small thing. It seems like it could be quite a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see the panic. Yeah. Going,
yeah, it's like I instantly remembered the list of things I'm still behind on and supposed to be doing.
So first of all, we'll go really far back and think about what got you interested in science for the first time. Why did you decide to look at physics as a degree?
This is something that I always do when I'm out talking to classes and stuff. I make sure to tell them how I got interested in science, but I always feel a bit out of place maybe compared to anyone else who's usually out presenting with me, because they've all got really cool stories or really interesting things, but mine is just very normal, and you're kind of like, okay, I see why you chose physics. But basically, so when I was younger, my parents, they're not super into science or anything, and like same with maths. I guess I always liked maths in school, but any exposures I had to science really were, we have family in Belfast, so we'd go up to W5 sometimes when we were there, and I thought that was the coolest place ever when I was in primary school. And even though I didn't realize it was science or what exactly science was, I just knew it was cool and that I liked it. And same as well in school, we went to a theatre to see a science show one time, and over my head, no idea what was going on, what they were doing for most of it, but it was like all demos, and I thought it was so cool because we hadn't really done science in school at that stage. It was only really 6th class, so when I was 12, that we did a few experiments with our teacher. So one day we got to make ice cream in class just using like salt and ice and Ziploc bags, and like making ice cream in school is cool enough, but we made it without a freezer as well. So it went from just runny liquid to having actual ice cream at lunchtime that we then got to eat. So that was fantastic. So that kind of sparked my interest in general, but at the same time, I like TV. I loved detective programs, mystery programs, anything to do with problem solving, or, you know, like watching how it's made. I really loved all that sort of thing. So kind of the the interest in physics related stuff was always there, even though I still didn't know what physics was at this stage. So then we went into like secondary school, and we do junior cert science, which is just 3 years of very general everything. And physics wasn't really covered, but I knew I wanted to do 2 sciences at least for my options in leaving cert. So I was going to do chemistry, and I didn't really like biology. So I said I would give physics a go. And that was basically me going in kind of blind, knowing physics was a bit challenging, but it was about problem solving, and I liked problem solving. So that's basically exactly how I got into it. I just took a chance and ended up really, really liking it.
It happens to a lot of people. They have an interest. They don't actually know that that's physics, and they tend to fall in there and go, "Oh, actually, this thing I was really interested in, that was physics all along," or that was chemistry.
Because like so much in the world around us is physics. It's really like anything you can think of, really. You know, we wouldn't have phones if we didn't have physics. Even I was involved with judging a poster competition recently, and just the ideas and different things that we had, and like people were coming up with the physics of shopping centers. We had like physics of the farm. We had so many different things going on, as well as like space and everything you typically associate with physics. But it was just amazing. Someone did like the physics of GAA and the physics of a woolen mill. Like I had a great time reading through all of them, even if I wasn't judging their posters. It was just amazing to see, even me who's done physics for 4 years, like more instances of physics all around us that I hadn't even thought about before.
That's really cool. It's really nice to, I always really enjoy hearing where people got their interest in science and like whatnot, and it's always good to hear that a science centre was part of that. Like W5 is a really fab place.
Oh, it's amazing. I think I only went there about twice, but I did go up with one of my cousins who lives up there too. They have, I think it's called like Late at W5 or something, and they have like an adults evening, and we went up and we had great crack, and we have pictures on all the stuff we would have gone on as kids and stuff. It's brilliant. But you know, down like in Ireland, there's Explorium now, which looks amazing. I can't wait to finally get there when we can actually like travel again. But like that's over the other side of the country in the west of Ireland. Like I didn't have anything like that here growing up, and I really wish we did. So that's definitely what's made me so passionate about science communication, because, you know, there's not that much here, and there's not that many people that I knew of going around doing it. I've obviously found out about loads more amazing people involved in science communication in Ireland since I've gotten into it, but I think we could definitely do it some more here, especially in the West.
It's really exciting to see that there was finally a centre in the Republic, like as well as the North. It's just nice to actually get that, isn't it?
It looks brilliant.
One day I'll get to go as well, and I'm really excited. It's something that, like, my partner and I, whenever we go on holidays, it's like we'll find a niche museum to go to, and like we'll go to a science centre as well. And like my partner's not as keen on the science centre bit, so sometimes I'll go and do that. So we went to Belfast last year, and that's when I went to W5. I really enjoyed the giant climbing frame that they have. That's like, why is this here? I don't care.
Did you go in it? They let us in that during the night. I suppose when there's kids in it, you wouldn't want to go climbing around them. It was great fun. We love the. Sorry.
No, on you go.
Me and my cousin, I think our favorite thing that we both loved when we were younger is that it's called like the Rapunzel chair. It's like the first thing you see when you walk into one of maybe like the second or third floor, and you sit on this chair, and it's kind of like a big thing it's made of, and there's a rope, and you pull yourself up. And I think they give you a story about how Rapunzel would have used her hair to pull people up, and like the strength of it and stuff, and pulling your own weight.
Yeah, I do remember. I couldn't do it. Like, did they have different counterweights as well to make it a bit easier? Or is that a different science?
They might on different ones. I'm not sure. There's 3 there, but I was having too much fun to think
Yeah, I really like those. Sorry, we just keep talking about exhibits and science centers for half an hour. But I also really like their. They have an augmented reality dinosaur, like the.
Yeah.
So cool.
I went up just when that was kind of new, I think it was, and it was really cool. They had people dressed up as dinosaurs going around as well. That looked very realistic.
So moving on from science centers, because we could
go
on. But talking about the other sort of science communication things that are going on in Ireland, I know there's a lot of really good outreach projects. Like the one that I've come across is Cell Explorers, which are lovely people. Like I got to meet Shane from Cell Explorers, not in Ireland. We were in Italy, but he was there to do some training. Like absolutely brilliant guys. But you're involved in some outreach programs in your own time as well. Can you tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I'm involved with the Sophia project, which our main goal is to encourage the uptake of physics at Leaving Cert level. So it would be like 15-year-olds. Some of you might know, but I suppose comparing UK system to Ireland, you have GCSEs and we have the junior cert, and then you have A levels and we have the Leaving Cert. The structure is similar, it's just different names. But yeah, the uptake is really low, especially for girls. I think I was looking at the stats recently, and in 2019, only 8% of girls took physics as a Leaving Cert subject here in Ireland, which is so small when you look at other subjects like biology had about 70%. Which there's just like a huge contrast there.
Did you say 4%? Like,
sorry, 8. Barely 8. It's like 7.7%, but
yeah,
I'll say
that's really low.
Yeah, it's astounding. And because so many people are usually told like, oh, physics is just hard and biology is like an easy A1 because they think it's the easiest science. But if you're just telling people to do that because you think it's the easiest, I definitely wouldn't have gotten an A1 in biology if I did it, even though I really like science, because I'm just not that into it, and I know learning wise it's a bit different than physics, the way you would tackle problems and stuff like that. So I knew it wasn't for me, whereas a lot of people would be pushed into it because they're told by teachers it's the easiest science to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a lot of problems with like why like teachers push people for different subjects that way, but we need to get rid of that biology is the easy one. Yeah. So what sorts of things does the Sophia project do to try and improve uptake?
So we started back in, it would have been autumn of 2017 and then launched February of 2018. So we've been going since then, and we've been really lucky to get funding from Science Foundation Ireland's Discover programme, which has allowed us to grow and do more things than we had initially planned, which is amazing. So the main thing we do is we do a school workshop. So we'll go out to schools and we'll try and show them what physics is really about and kind of get rid of the stereotypes and change how they look at the subject, because a lot of them, even though they're only 14 or 15 already, they've been exposed to all the stereotypes and think, like physics is just for men, physics is just for really antisocial people. They wear lab coats all the time. They got mad hair. They really do believe all the stereotypes, even at that age when they haven't tried it out yet. So we go in and we talk about the stereotypes, and we do some fun demos, and we tell them about our stories and what got us into physics in the first place. And we talk about all the amazing different careers that you can get from physics, because if you do physics, you're not just going to work in a lab for the rest of your life. It opens up so many windows. And even with the skills you get, if you study physics and you decide to step away from it, those skills are so transferable and you can really use it whatever career path you decide to go down.
Oh, cool.
So
great.
We also started going to primary schools within the last year, but I haven't got out to one of those myself yet. I've just done secondary schools. And then last year we had our first ever poster competition, which we've just finished judging for our second one recently. So if you look up Sophia Physics on YouTube, you'll be able to see all of our finalists. We just uploaded the videos yesterday evening. So they're all up on YouTube at the moment. and that's been great fun judging them. We've had some really, really amazing entries. Well, all of them I think are fantastic and brilliant, but some in particular are just wow. As well as that, we have teacher workshops as well. So we had a day-long event. I'm trying to even remember what year it was at this stage. Last year was 2020. So at the end of 2019, we had a day-long event on a Saturday for teachers, and we had loads of different people in talking from research and from industry, and we had Sophia bees as well. We have like 2,000 bees, much more bees than physics students in our department at the moment. So we had someone in to talk about bees and the physics of bees and how that can be brought into the physics curriculum as well as something else to talk about in schools, which is really cool. Yeah, and trying to make sure I list off all the things that we're doing because there's just so much at this point. We have a website as well, sophiaphysics.ie, and we have different resources and different activities for different age groups there, which is great. And we have a blog all about our bees as well, which is really nice to read.
That's a lot.
I think that's everything. There might be more, and there's probably more that's planned that isn't out there yet. So it's amazing though. I love being involved in it and all the people that we've gotten involved in it, because it started with me going to like a lecturer and the lead of the Science Learning Centre, and then the department was so supportive of it, and it's really just grown from then. We brought the physics teachers in, so you had like pure physics students and you had actual teaching students, which is perfect. I think we really needed their insights and everything for it. And we have students who aren't in physics anymore. Well, not anymore, but who don't do physics, they might do engineering. And as well, so we're from the University of Limerick, but we've joined up with IT Carlow, who are fantastic, and some of their students have signed up. So we're going to start, they'll be facilitators on that side of the country, basically. And they're amazing as well. They're all doing aerospace engineering or cybersecurity, which is really cool. But they're still going out and chatting about physics, but we're seeing how we can link up with their interests too. So we're working on that at the moment because we've had to go online, which has been great fun to do. I had to redesign the whole workshop for Science Week back in November here. So that was very fun figuring out how we could get that to work and pulling it all together.
It's been tough, like the ways, but
yeah,
but really rewarding the ways that we've had to switch to more of an online way of working.
Yeah, I really miss all of the actually being able to interact with people and students, because it's great seeing them throughout the workshop, and usually you'll see them and they'll be very quiet at the start, and then they're kind of their opinion of physics will kind of change a bit throughout. They'll be like, oh, this is actually kind of cool, even if I don't see myself going to do this. They'll be like, oh, okay, it's not so bad after all, and they'll get a bit more chatty, and then you'll get people coming up to you asking questions afterwards. It's just not the same getting a question through a Q&A box on a computer, So I can't wait until there's a day we can go back and visit schools or do shows in person again, because it's great.
It's I was doing a thing with some kids yesterday, like a virtual classroom, and it's just so nice to see them being able to interact, but it still doesn't feel quite the same. So I completely get you on that. So that was kind of leading me on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, actually. As you said, you've taken a year out and you've been doing some science communication things alongside it. How have you spent your pandemic? Which is never a question I thought I'd ever ask, but how have you spent the pandemic?
Yeah, I think I definitely didn't see any of this coming anyways. I think it was this day last year, basically. I was in a car on the way back from IT Carlow after training our first group of facilitators there, and after meeting Jocelyn Bell Burnell. It was such a good day, and within a week our university was shutting down, and the end of my final year was just cut completely short, no closure, no nothing, and it was so weird. We really thought at the start that we might get back in at some point, but clearly we haven't. So how did I spend my lockdown? The first March to May was just chaos, because I was in final year, finishing my final year project, trying to do our exams. The department had to figure out really quickly how they could do our exams online since we wouldn't be back in person. So that was crazy and really rough, to be honest. and I finally finished, and I was planning on helping the research group I worked with research over the summer, but it was just kind of a lot after like those whole 2 or 3 months just really hit me then, and I was like started thinking that I needed to take a break, even though I'd been planning to start a PhD. But I'm really glad I did. It was quite a hard decision because you don't hear of people doing physics and then just taking a break and then you don't know where they go and stuff. Anyone I know, they've gone straight on to doing something else or working. So it was pretty scary to try and decide, because I was like, what if this doesn't go well? And I know people who take gap years, they'll usually go traveling or they're usually like do something, but how do you have a gap year when you're locked down in your house? You can't even leave your county, not to mind leaving your country, you know? But I just kind of decided from the start I would just try out loads of different new things and new skills and see what I liked, because I kind of knew that I mightn't want to go into a PhD. Like, I knew I'd be happy doing research, but I kind of wanted to figure out what I was really into and what would make me happiest and what way I can like keep science in my life but really, really enjoy doing it. So I got pretty lucky that I ended up on kind of working on a few small different things, but mainly back with Sophia. So I did the Science Week thing, which was hectic. And then we had to do the actual Science Week shows. So there was like the whole work before it and that. I did a bit of work on a COVID project, which has been interesting. It was supposed to help with kind of solutions and coming out of lockdown, how young adults can deal with issues that have arisen and things that they're struggling with, but we went straight back into lockdown. So none of that really applied at the time. It ended up, I think then after Christmas, I've gotten a lot busier with IAPS. Completely forgot about that. And once again, remembering the workload now, if you saw the flash of horror on my face. So before Christmas wouldn't have been that busy with IAPS because we just have our school day, which is there's a subject picked a year before, and then that's a day that different student groups all over the world go out, and they would usually go to schools. But that was pretty much organized before I came into my position in September, so it wasn't too much on me. I was just making sure everything ran smoothly and stuff. But now I have so much going on. I'm planning a forum at the moment for physics students around the world to discuss how higher education has reacted to the pandemic and how they're getting on and any issues they have, so that we can kind of see what's working and what hasn't worked for students, and then hopefully make a report out of that and send it out to some departments and see if some good changes can be made for the next academic year, maybe. And then I'm slowly planning an advocacy series, which is slowly being pushed further and further back as I'm doing all the other things. And we have International Day of Light coming up in May, which I am trying to plan as well and put activities together for. And I feel like there's something else coming up in the summer. I don't know. There's basically a lot of activities coming up for IAPS at the moment, because I have two roles. So outreach and advocacy could be individual, and advocacy has kind of been juggled between different executive committee positions for a while because we're limited to how many we can elect by the charter. So this year they decided to put it with outreach, and because I'm really interested and passionate about both, I'm now so busy because I'm kind of doing two roles that sometimes you wouldn't get people doing as much for. So they're kind of like, oh no, this was maybe a bad idea because you love both. And I was like, yeah. So that's going to be fun to figure out how to deal with that. But yeah, there's always loads going on with IAPS. So anytime that students have issues or stuff, I'm their point of contact and I help them deal with stuff. And if there's anything serious, I can write up and release a statement on behalf of IAPS as well to bring attention to things going on. Yeah, so there's basically a whole lot behind it. There's probably even more than that. I'm just trying not to like remember something that I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh no, that is a lot.
Yeah, I've just had so many meetings with I've had so many meetings with lots of groups because we're working on like collaborations and strengthening our ties with them. And because a lot of our members are already within Europe, we're trying to recruit members outside of Europe and link up with different physics societies around there. So under my advocacy hat, I'm doing lots of work with the African School of Physics at the moment because we want to get more student members in Africa, and I'm trying to figure out what foundations I can lay in place before they join to support their members when they do join, because it's really important to be aware of any issues they have and how we can support them best, because we want them to have a good time and be able to connect with us properly.
That is a lot. Like, it's a lot of stuff going on. Like, I've known so many people who've been, when you ask them, how have you spent the last year? Like, I'm busier than I've ever been. Like,
yeah, I feel like I'm doing nothing, but I feel like I'm so busy at the same time. Depending on like what day it is, I could just be there like sitting, watching something or reading something, and then another day I'll just be on like calls and trying to work like all day.
It's good though. It's good to be able to have that kind of flip between, I guess, to be able to take a bit of a break and still be really busy. Now, I said earlier on that like this half an hour goes really quickly, and
it does.
It's almost half an hour. Something else I was wanting to ask is like you're still quite early on in your kind of science communication career, and there's a lot of other people that can follow the Global Science Show who are in the same sort of position. And I'd be really interested to know, from your perspective as an early career science communicator, what sorts of things you think would have helped you break into it or have helped you get into science communication?
It's kind of broad, because I'm going to try to keep it short because I know half an hour is nearly up. But because, you know, we're all coming from different situations and have different interests. So it's actually really broad. Something that I found really, really helpful is talking to people. Like, you know, if you find someone doing what you want to do or that you're really interested, just slide into their Twitter DMs and nicely say, I'm really interested in what you do, and any chance you want to have a talk about it sometime. Like, oh no, I didn't slide into your Twitter DMs. I emailed you from your website. But we had a lovely chat during the summer, and that was so helpful for me, like talking to you about science communication and what I could possibly do afterwards, because I was trying to choose, would I take a break, would I do science communication, would I go into the PhD, you know, and talking to people like you was so helpful to me. Twitter is great, but I would say I use Instagram a lot more for following people and connecting with them. I think there's such a good community, especially of women in STEM, on Instagram. And there's some really, really amazing people there who are definitely inspiring and like really good to follow and really good to chat with as well. Basically, just talk to as many people as you can, even if you're kind of scared. Like, the worst they'll say is no, and they probably don't know you already. So don't be afraid to reach out, because if they just leave you unseen, they're probably busy, you know. Yeah, I guess. And in terms of like what people could do to help us, I don't know. I think just getting connected is the most important thing, because everyone has their own experience and something they can bring to the table. So as long as there's a place that, you know, we're all welcome and we can all chat or ask questions, I think that's really good. And that's why I think these are great as well, because you've got different people on every week. Like, as I said, they're talking about all their different experiences. So, you know, if there's anyone who's interested in like physics and wants to do something physics related, or they want to start like an outreach program, kind of like Sophia, and you don't really know what to do, like, you're free to message me anytime, you know. I'll be here and I'm happy to help. Even though I don't have all the experience in the world from what I've done, I'm always happy to help people or talk about their ideas or whatever they want to do.
That actually leads me on. What a segue, because this is how you can follow you. If you want to ask any questions. So that is, I've got both your Twitter account on there, and then stealthily went and got the YouTube to Sophia channel as well.
I saw you typing. I was wondering what was happening.
What I'm up to. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming and have a chat. Half an hour went by so very quickly, as it does every single time we have one of these. But yeah, people can follow you at Elora. Thank you so much for coming to have a chat. I'm going to use the power that I have to kick you out of the room. Which always
Thanks so much for having me as well before you kick me.
No worries at all. So in 3, 2, 1, you're gone. Thank you so much to Laura for coming to have a chat with us today. And if you want to come and have a chat as well, you're more than welcome to. I have so many people that want to come and have a chat on one of these things. Like I'm booked up until the end of May, but that doesn't mean that we can't get more people. If you want to, as was just said, slide into the Twitter DMs, like come over to Global Science Show and say, I'd like to have a chat. We'll grab a cuppa, we'll grab some water. Maybe if we have an evening chat, we'll grab a beer and we'll talk about science communication. One last thing I want to do before we go is, this is all done voluntary for free. But if you would like to help support the Global Science Show, you're more than welcome to do that. And you can donate to our Ko-fi. So you can buy us a coffee, would be really appreciated. And that just helps us to grow. Essentially, I'm looking to try and make the Global Science Show into a much bigger platform. We're building a website at the moment. Got a promotional video coming up, which I'm really excited about. And over the summer, we're going to grow it to be even bigger to really help try and support early career science communicators. That's something I'm really, really passionate about. So if you want to help make that happen, you can buy us a coffee at the link below. Or as I've said this a couple of times, I don't know if this is old school. It feels a bit old school to me. You can scan that QR code if the Ko-fi link is too quick for you. One thing you might not noticed before, like halfway through that, is my camera died. Like my virtual camera died and it disappeared, and I had to move to my laptop camera. That's why I keep looking up here and not here, because I'm looking at my phone even though my phone's dead, but I should be looking here. I'm going to stop rambling now. Too many coffees. Have a great day, folks. We'll be back on Thursday at 12 p.m. with Danny Stones, which is going to be great fun. See you soon.